Picture this. Sunday morning, Guadalajara Airport, one of the largest in Mexico. Passengers with suitcases, families with children, tourists. And then suddenly, gunshots, smoke, panicked people running through the waiting area, hiding behind check-in counters, grabbing children. International flights are cancelled. Columns of black smoke from burning buses rise above the city. 20 Mexican states are paralyzed by roadblocks. Schools are closed. Governments of several countries are urging their citizens to stay indoors. Welcome to Mexico after the assassination of El Mencho, the man once called the world's most dangerous drug lord. To understand the scale of what happened, you need to understand who Nemesio was. Oseguera Cervantes, known by the nickname El Mencho, led the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CNX, one of the fastest-growing and most violent criminal organizations in Mexican history. Unlike traditional drug cartels, the CNX specialized not only in cocaine, but also in fentanyl and methamphetamine, the very drugs that have devastated American cities in recent years and made drug overdose the leading cause of violent death in the United States. The FBI offered a $10 million reward for El Mencho's head. Mexican authorities offered even more. He remained elusive for over a decade, despite thousands of operations. This brings us to the main point: how exactly he was killed and why it happened now. The operation was carried out on Sunday morning in El Mencho's home state of Jalisco. Mexican Army and National Guard Special Forces entered the area and immediately came under heavy fire. 8 armed cartel fighters were killed during the initial clash. Oseguera Cervantes and his 2 bodyguards attempted to escape into a wooded area, but were caught there too. All 3 were seriously wounded in the shootout. They were evacuated by helicopter, along with the wounded soldier. But El Mencho and his guards never reached Mexico City. All 3 died en route. Simultaneously, in another location in the state of Jalisco, military personnel eliminated another high-ranking cartel official. According to Security Minister Omar Garcia Arita, this individual coordinated the retaliatory violence in real time and personally offered the militants over $1,000 for each Mexican soldier killed. A prison guard, a state prosecutor's office agent, and an unidentified woman were also killed during Sunday's events. Around 30 suspected cartel members were neutralized in Jalisco, and 4 more were killed in the neighboring state of Michoacán. The devil is in the details. The cartel's response was lightning fast, organized, and aimed at maximum chaos. The KNPH activated a scenario known in the industry as narco bloqueos, mass roadblocks with vehicles set on fire. Within hours, more than 250 such blockades were recorded in 20 Mexican states: Jalisco, Michoacán, Guerrero, Tamaulipas, Guanajuato, Aguascalientes, and others. Burning buses and trucks blocked key transportation arteries. Several Mexican states urgently cancelled school classes. Local and foreign governments urged citizens to stay home. But the most dramatic episode of the cartel's retaliatory strike was the attack on Guadalajara's international airport, Miguel Hidalgo Airport. Footage that quickly went viral on social media showed what was hardly a peaceful airport. Airport employees and passengers running in panic through the terminal, hiding behind counters and seats. Several men ran hand in hand or carrying small children. The airport announced the cancellation of all international and most domestic flights. Columns of smoke, visible for miles, rose over Guadalajara, the capital of Jalisco. The psychological calculation behind this violence is quite obvious. The cartel pursued several goals. First, to demonstrate to the state a symmetrical response. You killed our leader, we'll paralyze your country. Second, to intimidate potential informants and those who could help the authorities in the future. Third, to create a sense within the cartel that the organization was alive, combat-ready, and seeking revenge. Jalisco Governor Pablo Lemus Navarro immediately declared a code red, a state of emergency for security. Public transportation was suspended throughout the state, but the picture would be incomplete without the geopolitical dimension of this operation. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum called for calm. By Monday, according to authorities, all 250-plus roadblocks had been cleared. However, the most significant political acknowledgement came from Washington. The White House confirmed that the United States provided intelligence support for the operation to capture the cartel leader and expressed its approval of the Mexican army's actions in killing a man considered one of the most wanted criminals in both countries. This fact cannot be overstated. The Trump administration has been exerting unprecedented pressure on Mexico City in recent months, seeking real, measurable results in the fight against the cartels, especially those supplying fentanyl, which kills tens of thousands of Americans every year. The operation against El Mencho is more than just a success for Mexican law enforcement. It is Scheinbaum's direct response to this pressure, an attempt to demonstrate to Washington that Mexico is acting, and acting decisively. However, this success immediately raises a question that's already raising in Mexican society. What next? History knows many examples where the elimination of a major cartel leader didn't lead to his destruction, but only to a redistribution of power, a new wave of internal warfare, and even greater brutality. After El Chapo's arrest in 2019, the Sinaloa cartel didn't disappear. It splintered into several warring factions that are still waging a bloody war for territory. There's no guarantee that the fate of the KNPH will be any different. This topic is especially pressing given that in just a few months, Mexico, the United States, and Canada will host the FIFA World Cup. Millions of tourists, hundreds of thousands of fans, and global media attention. All this against the backdrop of a country that just experienced 24 hours of chaos, with burning airports, blocked roads, and shootouts in 20 states. The question of whether the Mexican government can guarantee security under these circumstances is no longer theoretical. Mencho's death is extremely ambivalent. On the one hand, it is a true triumph. A decade-long hunt, millions of dollars in rewards, hundreds of operations, and finally, the result. On the other hand, the first 48 hours after the assassination clearly demonstrated that the state had killed a man, but not a system. The cartel immediately responded with organized, coordinated terror against its own country. And until the conditions that breed cartels, poverty, corruption, weak institutions, change in Mexico, every El Mencho will be replaced by another, with the same ambitions, the same cruelty, and the same arsenal. Mexico has killed the monster, but the Hydra lives on.